Old Hollywood, the land where dreams were spun in silver light, where every step on the red carpet shimmered with eternal glory. But behind the dazzling facade lay a darker stage, where power was abused, fame was bartered for fear, and dignity was crushed behind velvet curtains. It was an era where a single smile on camera could excuse the cruelty behind the scenes. Ruthless studio moguls, tyrannical directors, and stars willing to betray anyone for a spotlight. Together, they built a world that was both the brightest and most toxic in cinematic history. In this countdown, we expose 20 of the most powerful yet merciless figures who shaped an era where dreams were forged from tears, and every flash of fame came at an unforgiving price. Louis B. Mayer, studio chief and self-appointed father of every contract player. On the surface, he oozed paternal warmth, hosting Thanksgiving dinners and dispensing fatherly advice. Yet actors soon learned the affection was a leash. Mayer kept stars on starvation salaries while raking in millions, dictated their hair color, dating life, even waist size, and fired anyone who dared gain a pound. He once reduced Judy Garland to sobs by calling her his little hunchback. Private detectives tracked romances, abortions, and drinking binges so Mayer could blackmail performers into signing unfair renewals. When a young ingenue resisted a casting couch advance, Mayer had her roles reassigned overnight. Directors who fought creative cuts found their films shelved for later review. Code for oblivion. Why the crown as Hollywood's jerk king? Because Mayer sold the American dream while crushing the dreamers who created it. Proof that a kindly smile can hide the sharpest claws. If Mayer was velvet, Harry Cohn was barbed wire. The Columbia Pictures boss patrolled his lot with a pistol on his hip and an ear tuned for gossip. He publicly humiliated employees, barking, "You're nothing without me," at stars he had just promoted. Cohn's office phone had 2 buttons, green for good news, red for tear them apart. Most calls hit red. Rita Hayworth, Columbia's crown jewel, once called Cohn in tears after he ordered cameramen to keep filming when her gown ripped, then screened the footage for male executives. Directors endured profanity-laden tirades. Some fainted, others quit. A guard once found Cohn tearing pages from a screenwriter's script, screaming, "This trash offends my toilet paper." Yet cruelty brought results. Columbia's profits soared. But why is he crowned a prime jerk? Because success doesn't excuse sadism. He ran his studio like a sweatshop, leaving behind a trail of broken spirits longer than the Hollywood Walk of Fame. At Warner Brothers, loyalty was a one-way street. Studio co-founder Jack L. Warner smiled for newspaper photos while secretly selling his own brother's shares behind their backs in 1956. A betrayal that gave him sole control. He then fired longtime employees who had supported the other Warners. Actors didn't fare much better. James Cagney had to sue twice just to receive fair pay. Olivia de Havilland fought a contract extension. Warner padded with suspension time. He retaliated by spreading rumors she was difficult, nearly blacklisting her. During World War II, he forced 12-hour workdays and pocketed patriotic propaganda bonuses, all while cursing slacker stars who wanted to serve on the front lines. Why does he rank among Hollywood's nastiest? Because Jack wrapped treachery in charm, proving the deadliest dagger is the one you never see until it's buried in your back. Audiences screamed at Psycho, actresses screamed at Alfred Hitchcock. The genius director viewed performers as cattle, branding them refrigerators to keep emotions cold and controlled. On the birds, he ordered live gulls and crows hurled at Tippi Hedren for a week, denying her protective gear. Her face was clawed. When a doctor insisted filming stop, Hitchcock resumed right after lunch. He'd send Hedren champagne laced with lewd notes, then sabotaged her career when she rejected him, locking her into an exclusive contract and refusing to cast her. Grace Kelly recalled being forced to repeat a kissing scene with Cary Grant over 100 takes so Hitch could capture the perfect sigh. Why the jerk label? Because behind every masterpiece lies a trail of emotional bruises, showing that brilliance doesn't give license to break people like props. If this story shocked you, hit that like button and subscribe for more untold truths from behind the silver screen. Austrian-born Otto Preminger brought European elegance and an iron fist to Hollywood. He slapped actress Jean Seberg across the face to elicit tears on St. Joan, and ordered repeated lashings of Dorothy Dandridge in Carmen Jones until her back bled. Crew members whispered, "Pray for cloud cover." He hates sunlight almost as much as actors. Preminger relished public humiliation, screening dailies just to pause on an actor's worst take and erupt in mocking laughter. When producer Daryl Zanuck suggested softer handling, Preminger barked, "I hired them to feel pain." His films pushed artistic boundaries, but his methods pushed human limits. He ranks here because artistic daring doesn't excuse cruelty, and few ever wielded cruelty with such theatrical flair. Off-screen glamour hid Joan Crawford's volcanic temper. She demanded co-stars address her as Miss Crawford, even friends. On Mildred Pierce, she sabotaged rival Anne Blyth by stuffing her costume with weights before a watery scene, gleefully watching Blythe struggle. Crawford's adopted daughter, Christina, later penned Mommy Dearest, alleging beatings with wire hangers and midnight cleaning marathons. Joan's defense: discipline builds character. Crew members recalled her scouring sets with alcohol wipes, shrieking at specks of dust. Why is she on this list? Because beneath the red-lipped smile was an iceberg of insecurity that froze anyone too close, proving that stardom can mask deep veins of meanness. Radio audiences swooned over Bing Crosby's mellow baritone, but his four sons remembered a drill sergeant. Gary Crosby described being whipped with metal-tipped belts for minor infractions. "Dad's love was discipline," he wrote, "and he had plenty of love to give." Co-stars weren't spared either. On White Christmas, he mocked Danny Kaye's ad-libbing as clown work and demanded retakes. He'd show up hours late, shrugging, "The cameras wait for Crosby." When a boom mic operator dropped equipment, Bing ordered him fired on the spot and replaced before lunch. Crosby's icy detachment earned him the nickname Old Stone Face among musicians. Why list him here? Because behind the holiday cheer was a father and colleague whose chill could freeze the North Pole itself. Long before paparazzi flashes captured celebrity meltdowns, Frank Sinatra had already turned anger into an art form. In the smoky nightclubs of the 1940s, he simply snapped his fingers for service. If the waiter hesitated, Frank unleashed insults, or even fists. He once hurled a glass at journalist Lee Mortimer for printing mob rumors. Shards from the glass left Mortimer needing stitches. When columnist Dorothy Kilgallen joked that his voice sounded tired, Frank sent her a tombstone-shaped cake with R.I.P. written on it. On the set of From Here to Eternity, Sinatra demanded director Fred Zinnemann rewrite the script to expand his role. When refused, he threatened to call the boys downtown, a veiled warning referencing his Rat Pack friends or even the mob figures who helped launch his career. Why is he on this list? Because Sinatra believed charm could erase cruelty. He serenaded America with velvet ballads while smashing anyone who blocked his spotlight, proof that a smooth voice can conceal an edge sharp enough to cut. Moviegoers adored Errol Flynn's devil-may-care grin as he fenced foes in Captain Blood. Off-screen, he skewered reputations. Flynn hosted roaring yacht parties stocked with bootleg liquor and underage dates, inspiring the phrase, "in like Flynn," after two teens accused him of statutory rape in 1942. He beat the charges, joking the trial was great publicity. Crew members on the Seahawk recalled Flynn drunkenly sword-fighting extras, drawing real blood just for laughs. When Olivia de Havilland balked at his wandering hands, Flynn pinned her costume to a set wall and walked off, leaving her struggling. His pranks littered the Warner lot. Live snakes in dressing rooms, exploding cigars slipped to camera operators. Flynn earns jerk status because he treated life as a perpetual lark, never mind the casualties, turning chivalry into a punchline and leaving scandal as deep as any cutlass slice. To millions, he was the embodiment of rugged American virtue. But John Wayne's off-camera persona carried a mean streak. He ridiculed co-star Maureen O'Hara for asking for fewer slaps in McClintock, shouting, "Real women can take it." On The Longest Day, he struck director Robert Aldrich after a staging dispute, growling, "My way or the trail." His 1971 Playboy interview cemented his jerk legacy. He dismissed reparations for slavery and called Native Americans selfish for keeping land. The comments sparked boycotts, but Wayne doubled down, lobbying studios to blacklist un-American crybabies. On set, he used his 6 feet 4-inch frame to intimidate colleagues, once cornering actor Christopher Mitchum in a prop barn and warning, "Outshine me and you're finished." Why crown him here? Because Wayne's larger-than-life hero image masked an intolerance that branded others, scarring both careers and ideals. Main Street, USA glows with whimsy, yet its architect, Walt Disney, ruled with icy precision. Animators at the Hyperion studio toiled through unpaid overtime, and when they organized a 1941 strike for fair wages, Walt branded them communists. He hired Pinkerton detectives and projected photos of the strikers on the cafeteria wall so loyalists could hiss. Inside story rooms, he'd pit artists against each other, praising a sketch, then tearing it up before lunch just to watch egos squirm. Voice actress Adriana Castellotti, the voice of Snow White, never received credit or royalties. Disney insisted anonymity preserved the illusion. Why the jerk credentials? Because he nurtured magic on screen while squeezing sweat from the magicians, showing that a cheery whistle while you work can drown out the groans of the overworked. '20th Century Fox mogul Daryl F. Zanuck had a daily afternoon casting hour. Actresses were summoned to his private bungalow, and secretaries logged who stayed the longest. Starlet Marilyn Monroe once quipped, "I knew where the roles were promised, the sofa." Refusal often meant roles were cut or postponed for script polish that never materialized. Zanuck's tirades were legendary. He once exploded at cinematographer Leon Shamroy for using soft focus, smashed a light meter, and snarled, "I'll soften your skull." On The Longest Day, he replaced directors weekly, sending telegrams that began, "You're fired, genius." His jerk status stems from turning power into predation, proving that in Hollywood, studio doors don't always close on opportunity, but on consent. There's more where that came from, Like the video and subscribe to stay in the loop with our deepest dives into Hollywood's secrets. Billionaire Howard Hughes produced Hell's Angels with sky-high budgets and equally towering eccentricities. He installed two-way mirrors in actresses' dressing rooms for security, then personally screened the footage. He ordered a custom-designed bra for Jane Russell to accentuate her cleavage. When she refused to wear it, he threatened legal action. After buying RKO Pictures, Hughes ghosted executives for weeks, sending 4 a.m. memos demanding entire films be reshot because the clouds looked gloomy. Staff coined the term Hughes time, describing an endless limbo where paychecks and sanity vanished. Why is he on this list? Because his obsessive genius bled into obsessive surveillance, turning creativity into a claustrophobic cage for everyone under contract. On screen, Charlie Chaplin was lovable. Behind the camera, he courted controversy. At 35, he married 16-year-old Mildred Harris, then 16-year-old Lita Gray. Both whirlwind unions ended in courtroom mudslinging over infidelity and coercion. Gray's divorce papers alleged Chaplin demanded she abort pregnancies that interfered with filming schedules. On City Lights, he forced 500 takes of a single scene, shouting, "Do it again," until actress Virginia Cherrill broke down in tears. He fired her mid-shoot, only rehiring her after realizing reshoots would cost more. FBI files revealed Chaplin bribed immigration officials to silence paternity claims, prompting J. Edgar Hoover to label him morally questionable. Chaplin lands on this list because behind every heartwarming wobble was a puppet master pulling strings, even when the strings were human lives. Long before media moguls became memes, William Randolph Hearst weaponized journalism like heavy artillery. By the late 1930s, his empire of newspapers, radio stations, and newsreels had the power to make or break any star or studio. When 25-year-old wunderkind Orson Welles created Citizen Kane, a thinly veiled jab at Hearst's colossal ego, he erupted. Hearst launched editorials branding the film communist garbage, threatened to pull theater ads, and ordered gossip queen Luella Parsons to kill the movie. Print runs mentioning Kane mysteriously vanished, and any reporter who praised it lost their beat. The pressure worked. RKO executives panicked and limited the film's release to just a few cities. For decades, this masterpiece languished in box office obscurity, all because one man's pride overruled artistic freedom. And Hearst's control didn't stop at the screen. He micromanaged the career of his mistress Marion Davies, buying entire photo shoots just to eliminate unflattering angles. Crew members joked they feared a phone call from San Simeon more than a pink slip. If Hearst complained, reshoots began at dawn. Why is he on this list of Hollywood's worst? Because he proved that money can silence art and ego can suffocate genius, turning the dream factory into his own personal feudal estate. A plumed hat and a poison pen, that was Hedda Hopper, whose daily column reached 35 million readers, more than the audience of many blockbuster films. Hopper dubbed herself Hollywood's mother confessor, but stars called her Hat Pin Hedda. She'd compliment your outfit over lunch at Romanoff's, then rush home to file a blind item that could destroy your marriage or career. When actor Joseph Cotten begged her not to publish a rumor about infidelity, Hopper asked for $10,000 to cover printing costs. He refused. The rumor ran. During the Red Scare, she sided with the House Un-American Activities Committee, branding progressives as pinkos. One headline alone, "Dalton Trumbo is a communist," got the brilliant screenwriter blacklisted and financially ruined. Her rivalry with Luella Parsons was so intense that MGM had to alternate premiere nights to avoid bad press from either side. Why is Hopper on this list? Because she shredded reputations for sport, proving that in old Hollywood, the deadliest weapon wasn't a Tommy gun. It was a typewriter ribbon steeped in venom, wielded by a heartless columnist. Audiences gasped as the Red Sea parted in the Ten Commandments, but it was the extras who truly gasped. Under Cecil B. DeMille's whip-crack discipline. To simulate a sandstorm, he packed wind machines with live scorpions and cobras. Many left the set with stings and burns. One torch-bearing extra tripped and set a child's costume on fire. DeMille kept rolling while makeup artist Frank Westmore tore off the flaming dress. In his 70s, he suffered a mild heart attack climbing a 40-foot set gate, rested briefly, called for a ladder, and finished the shot. His motto, "The show must go on, even over my dead body." His productions often spiraled into chaos. Chariot crashes sending stuntmen to the infirmary. Battle scenes filmed with live ammo for authentic smoke. Crew nicknamed him CB de Merciless. But studios indulged him because he delivered profits, the only commandment that mattered. Why is he on this list? Because DeMille turned grandeur into danger, transforming biblical epics into survival trials, proving that without compassion, greatness is just gilded cruelty. Standing just 5 feet 2 inches, Mickey Rooney towered over no one, so he compensated with volcanic outbursts. On the MGM lot, he'd storm into the writers' building yelling, "You work for me!" Before tossing out pages he found unfunny. He pranked co-star Judy Garland by hiding dead fish in her dressing room vents. She cried, he laughed. Waitresses dreaded his table. Lukewarm coffee could earn a plate hurled against the wall. His personal life, a whirlwind of 8 marriages, gambling binges, and bankruptcies, left a trail of collateral damage. He bragged about affairs with underage starlets, later brushing them off as kid stuff. Biographers recall chauffeurs quitting en masse after Rooney spat tobacco juice onto the windshield during traffic jams. Why mark him a jerk? Because behind the boy-next-door grin lurked a bully who mistook chaos for charisma, leaving colleagues drained and audiences none the wiser. Slapstick maestro Jerry Lewis idolized wishbone pratfalls, but behind the laughter lay menace. Actress Karen Sharp recalled Lewis locking a dressing room door, groping her, then blacklisting her from on-set conversation when she recoiled. Hope Holiday described him masturbating openly during rehearsal. After female cast members protested, Lewis implemented a rule: no one speaks unless the king speaks first. Crew endured venom-laced tirades over mistimed cues. One lighting technician quit after Lewis smashed a Fresnel lens, then charged it to the payroll. He'd often improvise new gags mid-take, then berate co-stars for missing beats no one had rehearsed. Yet publicly, he preached compassion, hosting teary-eyed telethons for charity. Why is he on this list? Because Lewis's brand of humor came at a steep human cost, proving that a clown's painted smile can conceal the sharpest teeth. Muscle-bound charisma made Kirk Douglas a box office titan. But even he admitted, "I'm probably the most disliked actor in Hollywood, and I feel pretty good about it." Directors braced for battle. On Paths of Glory, he tore up the script in front of Stanley Kubrick, snapping, "Write it again, kid." Co-stars recalled him demanding extra close-ups, even shoving others off marks to claim center frame. Off-set, things grew darker. Lana Wood, sister of Natalie Wood, accused Douglas of raping the 16-year-old starlet at the Chateau Marmont in 1955, a trauma Natalie kept hidden to protect her career. Douglas was never charged, but rumors followed him like cigarette smoke. He bragged about punching crew members who challenged him and once broke a stuntman's rib on Spartacus, saying, "That'll look real." Why end this list with Douglas? Because he embodied Hollywood's paradox: hero on screen, ruthless in life, proof that cinematic courage can mask real-world cruelty. Old Hollywood dazzled the world with sparkling gowns and silver screen dreams. But the glare also cast long, jagged shadows. Why revisit their misdeeds? Because history's glamour often hides hurt, and only by ripping away the velvet drapes do we see the real cost of the show. If you found these revelations eye-opening, smash that like button, share the scandal with fellow cinephiles, and subscribe for more deep-dive documentaries that keep Hollywood's brightest lights and darkest corners blazing in equal measure. Until next time, keep your popcorn close and your illusions closer.